that makes carburetor parts. The questions come up, I have a Holley 1941 barrel. It doesn't idle well. What could be the problem? So that's why we're here. I'm going to explain to you how the idle works, or idle mixture, and etc. First thing, before blaming the carburetor, make sure your ignition is good, because bad wires, bad plug, bad points, whatever, they all can contribute to rough idle. The other thing is a vacuum leak. You want to check for vacuum leaks where the carburetor mounts around the outside, and also I would check right here where it goes. Make sure there's anything wrong with the gasket. This is where the throttle body hooks up. This right here goes on like so. Okay, and then you got possible vacuum leaks at your intake manifold, any vacuum line going to, let's say, a vacuum assist brake, something like that. All that stuff's going to need to be checked out before you go blaming the carburetor. So the next thing you want to do, if it's down to the carburetor, I'm going to show you where some of the things can go bad. Here's your idle mixture screw. You want to check it and make sure that the tapered end is not scored. If it is, replace it. And if there's little marks on it, I buff these out with a wire wheel, and it usually takes out any of the dirt that might be in it. So then this is your idle, where your idle mixture screw goes into. Okay, and here's where it feeds the bore. The idle mixture itself feeds through this hole here, and it is fed down through this hole, which is mounted like this, and then it goes up to the main body through that hole. Okay, and up in here. So you can see there's a very small orifice here. I had to blow through with my mouth. I couldn't tell by using the air gun if it went through. I had to plug off this other hole, and then I blew through it to make sure it goes through. This one does. I believe this is the one that's fed down into the main, down to the main jet. This is what's feeding the fuel to the idle mixture. Okay. Now the idle mixture is going to be mixed with air, and it comes from above, and you got a couple of very small holes. Hopefully you can see it down in here. Okay, you can see they're very tiny. I can see through them right now, so I know they're okay. So if you can see through them, good enough. Follow those down through your carburetor. Okay. Here you can see very tiny hole going through there. Anyway, so the point being is all these small passages have to be open. They can easily get clogged. Without enough air, you're going to run rich at idle speed, possibly miss, probably miss actually. So be sure all those things are clean. Let's see what else here. So when you get it, oh, in your gaskets, make sure your gaskets are not leaving something. Let's say it was broken right here, that would have caused a leak, a vacuum leak. So, and then again, you don't want it covering up a hole. Let's say there was a hole here and there's none in the gasket, you got a problem. Okay, assuming the hole goes through. Now a lot of these are casting holes, they go nowhere. They use them just when they casted the iron. So that's some of the things you want to check. The other thing that'll cause a rough idle is a worn throttle shaft. If you can wiggle it up and down, I'd say more than a 30-second. Actually, none would be good. But See right there how it's wiggling? That could cause, that's the same as a vacuum leak. Okay, and the best way to test this is to put on the car running, spray a little carburetor cleaner around the shaft, and see if the RPM smooths out, speeds up, or whatever. If it does, you know you got a shaft problem. Now, you can rebush these. That's a job left to some very experienced carburetor guys. There are a few places out there that will rebush it for you for I'm guessing around $35 or so, which ain't too bad. You send it to them, they rebush it, and you know you got a good job. So if you're a good machinist, you can do it yourself. I used to do it with reamers and drills, of course. The trick of here is to keep it lined up so that your shaft isn't like this or like that because you drilled the hole wrong. Lots of things to take in consideration. Okay, so as far as idle mixture goes, you're putting it together. Put the screw in until it bottoms gently. Your idle mixture screws are generally damaged from people putting them, screwing them in too hard. You see this one does poke through just a tad bit. That's okay. That's what it's doing. It's not completely plugging the hole off. It's just creating, filling up the hole a little bit. Okay. So anyhow, turn in all the way till it seats. Turn it back out, turn 1/2 to 2 turns thereabouts. That'll get it running. Okay, get the car running, get it warmed up, get the idle speed about right. One thing to think about on idle mixture: it is not meant to help the car run at high speeds. Once you get over the idle RPM, the idle mixture is out of the picture. You're going to the auxiliary pump circuit, cruise circuit, something like that. One other thing I wanted to mention is a part of the idle, can't think of the term for it, but right offhand, your hole is down here for your idle mixture. Okay, you got this slot right here, and what that's for, you can see mostly when the throttle shaft is closed, that is sealed off. As it opens up, that slot is opened up more, and that allows more air fuel mixture to get into the bore. And the reason they need to do that is that to get you from the idle itself up to the auxiliary pump circuit. So you got a little small amount of hesitation in between there you got to take care of. Okay, so that's what that slot is for. So you want to make sure that's all clear. 9 times out of 10 your idle problems are because of the idle mixture, one of the passives being plugged, something like that. Okay, so there you go. That pretty much explains how the idle circuit works. Okay. Oh yeah, after you get on the car now, you get it operating temperature, and I do it by ear. I turn these in a 1/4 turn at a time until RPM, and give it a second to catch up. And as soon as you see the RPM drop, turn it back out a 1/4, and there you go. Then you can go ahead and further adjust it a little bit here and there just to get the best idle. You can put a vacuum gauge on your carburetor somewhere, your intake, and watch your vacuum needle. You want to get it nice smooth running, and that's it. That's the 1940 idle circuit. Thank you for watching.